We're missing a few people. Hope you guys are staying away from those germs.
It's hard.
I know.
What channel did you put those two on? There it is.
Yeah, Logan posted this.
Aw, shanks, Logan.
So you've got everything on our Discord server, our private server, under the in-class programs channel. It's set up, and he's posting things for me because he knows that I run out of time, so appreciate that. So we had our flow chart. So we took that flow chart and we created a Python program. So I'm going to open idle and open that Python program. Maybe. The computer, for some reason, has just gotten suddenly terribly slow. I might have too much open. We'll see.
That was the overtime pay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, in Python. So a good thing that you might want to try would be maybe to print out this Python program and look at it side by side with your Raptor flowchart and compare how we moved that information from our flowchart to our Python program. Should be able to line things up pretty closely and get a good idea there of how we did that. We saw in Python our first if statement. And the first if statement that we wrote, we used the logical operator and to make it a compound if statement. So we didn't just use a easy peasy if statement, our very first one. And we were working on updating our Python quick reference to include information about the if statements. So I'm going to open that too. This is why none of us like to change computers, because when you're a programmer, you're going to have a lot of stuff open. And we just get used to it. So our Python quick reference, I had just added this little teeny bit, if condition colon. So we should probably make this a little bit more complete. So let's put something in here like this is a decision making structure. And I'm going to add that the book calls it a selection statement. You'll see all of our textbooks agree on that terminology.
That's in chapter 4, right?
Uh-huh. Yes. And think about anything else that you want to add to that. Looking at my online books, I don't have access to you guys' Python book. Does everybody remember that Python book that you have? Yeah? And if you look at Canvas, note the Python book. So the Python, do you have one? Oh, you're so awesome. I was going to bring up at least a picture of it. Yay. Okay, this module in Canvas, she's got it. Look at it. That one, that's the one I'm looking for. This module in Canvas is the first time, I think, that your beginning overview will tell you that you might want to read some out of that Python book. I'm going to go check.
Oh, look at all those classes you teach.
Yeah, it's crazy. In our modules, we're going to find it. Week 6. Look at all this stuff I said you should read. Wow, you got to get some speed reading going. Python programming, chapters 1 through 3. Up to page 63.
Oh, I was going to read the whole freaking chapter. That's it.
You don't have to. Now, this is going to be real basic information. A lot of it should be stuff that you know or that you didn't think was super important. But remember, this book is there for you. And if you start at the beginning of it now, as you move through it, you'll know how the authors have approached things. You'll know how they're doing things, because they'll probably be doing things a little differently than we are in class. And this is going to be like a huge resource for you. Remember, I'm giving you all these different places. Sometimes can be a little overwhelming. But it's because I want you to find the place that you like best. So some people are going to think, Code Academy, that's all I need. It's glitzy fancy, it does everything for me. That's a good place. Some people are going to say, now how to think like a computer scientist book? Myself, I like the way they present stuff. I like that their narrative is real simple and straightforward, and they get right to the point. But you might really like this Python book. That's why we had you buy it, because it's an inexpensive resource. And it's something for you to lean on too. If you're saying, I have no idea what in the world she was talking about, it's types like maniac. You got the book. So go back and do some reading and check and see what they're saying about it. And see if that gives you any specific questions that you have that you want to ask. So that was really last week's overview. And I just wanted to kind of emphasize that. Don't forget about that book. We haven't been using it. And for this week then, we want to just kind of be in that same area. You probably want to look a little bit at decision-making structures in that textbook. Okay. Okay, so our if statements. In our quick reference, we don't really need anything else for an if statement besides the actual if statement. So we could put an example here. If 0 equals 1, that's a valid if statement, right? It will be false, but it's still a valid if statement. And as you're doing the Code Academy stuff on if statements, they'll actually want you to type things like that in there. They'll say, create a condition that evaluates to false. So you could do something like this, 0 equals 1. That would evaluate to false. So that's what they're wanting you to type in, is something like that. That would be a false answer. Now, after our if statement, the body of the if statement has to be indented. And then the body of the if statement will be executed if the if statement is true. So this is one of those areas that you want to just kind of just do it. Don't overanalyze too much. Now I'm going to click here at the end of that row again and press enter to add another. And this time I want to put in if condition colon body. Body. We can make our body as long as we want. And then our else clause. So we just want some samples in here so that we can look at our quick reference and kind of understand. Now this is, sure. This is a dual alternative. The if body is executed if true or truer. The else body is executed if false. Hmm? Yeah, but I want you to make it your own.
Oh, well, yeah, no, no,
Uh-huh.
no, I just can't type enough.
Uh-huh.
That's enough.
That's enough?
Yeah, I can type it, just, I don't want to tell you to wait or hold on.
Fine.
So,
It's fine. We can wait too. So don't worry if you have to tell
Oh,
everybody to wait.
I'm getting better.
I know. That's what I was thinking. You
But
will.
I will get better, but I'm just not quite there yet.
You're good. What else should we say? Can you think of anything? Yeah, I just kind of want to get our basic structure down so that it's a quick reference.
I know.
What's that?
The if body is executed, it skips the code in the else body.
Yeah, that should be a given. So I'm going to let you put that in there however you think you should. But that's feeling like too many words for me. It's going to do one or the other. So however you want to phrase that, because I think that's one of those things that's a little bit personal. Now we have one other. We're going to look at it today. We could say if condition, and I'm just going to do one body, elif. Try to get this in here. And finally, we could do an else.
What does else stand for?
It stands for else if. And Python likes to really make it short. So this is going to be a multiple alternative. So the if body, if, you know what? I've left something out. For each of these elifs, we need a condition. I should not have left that out. So it's really like a whole bunch of if statements. So we're going to execute the if body if the if is true. Let's name these bodies, body 2, body 3. If body 2, if the if condition is true. So for each of these, we're basically stringing together all these different conditions. If this condition is true, run this body. Else, if this condition is true, run this body. Else, if this condition is true, run this body. And then finally at the end, we can say else. If none of those match, we didn't get any, then we want to do this stuff here. So we could do these like traffic lights. Let's do like traffic lights in Springfield. So you say, if the light is green, you can go. If the light is yellow, you have to go faster, right? If the light is red, you just go really, really fast and hope for the best. Is that what you do? Otherwise, there's just a stop sign. And you know, I saw last week people started to run stop signs too. So it's going to be a dangerous, dangerous city if we keep doing that.
I mean, that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Is it just normal?
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
So you're just used to watching?
Don't even have lights. Usually it's not a bunch of stop signs.
So we just
In
need to get
Germany,
used
they
to it.
have a freeway where there is no speed limit.
Yeah, but there's no stop signs either.
Yeah,
That's what they call it.
Anytime I go through an intersection in Springfield, I don't care if I do have the green light, I look.
You gotta wait.
In
They're gonna
Georgia,
get you.
everyone goes like 30 miles above the speed limit.
Everybody likes to drive like crazy maniacs everywhere. But you know, when we moved back to Springfield years ago, our car insurance went way up, and we asked the insurance agent why, and he said Springfield drivers seriously are ranked as one of the worst areas to drive in the country, and insurance does cost more.
The lady was just struck
Mhm.
and drove from 44. Levi, my worker, was driving through there.
Oh, no.
One time I was crossing Battlefield
Uh-huh.
and Saturday to get to my feet because I have to walk. And I almost, this is like on the first school day back in, like earlier in August, I almost got hit like 13 times by a freaking bunch of
You have to be
sidewalks.
careful. It's crazy around here. Okay,
And then this one guy drove over the freaking curb because this lady was trying to make a U-turn.
it's not.
Yeah, I just.
We're gonna write one that has some of these LM statements in it. Let's do our car thing. Okay, you got stuff? I'm gonna save it.
I will see my stuff from the Discord isn't loading on my.
Yeah,
desktop.
Discord is getting affected by the firewall. So yesterday,
Sorry to interrupt.
no, it's important. I'm glad you did.
The freaking merchant is not let me download
Somewhere.
the So for some reason it won't.
You have to close and reopen. There's supposed to be a place where you can actually close Discord all the way.
But it does the same thing. How do I-
She getting it?
Okay.
All four, so just go down. Well, read and write.
Does anybody else need help saving the stuff that's on Discord? Because Logan is up here doing a tour on how to save that stuff if you need some help. Don't be ashamed. Let him help you.
So what about the other one?
That one, same thing. Download it and just drag it and save your Python stuff from there. And open it if you don't type it.
Let someone know so they can help you if you're not sure how to do something like that, because we don't want those small things to be a problem for you. And when you're working with computers, you know, everybody's just got different levels of experience, and it's just normal to have people that know things that others don't, and vice versa. They have too many things open. So last time we were talking about this car price program, and I said we were going to create a Raptor flowchart for it. So I am looking at page 221 of our Prelude to Programming book, our standard book, and that's where they have all of this stuff. They have a little bit more information for us about using if statements in our flowcharts. Things that we have done. Here's our pay rate. No, in that Prelude to Programming.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just-
Here's where we are, page 232, the new car price calculator. Now this one's going to take us a few minutes, and as we get in here, you're going to see that our modules are really similar to each other. So don't let your mind wander thinking about, oh, I know how to do this, it's just like the last one. Focus and make your mind really evaluate, why is this just like the last one? What are we doing here? Is there something we could be doing different? Is there something we could do better than the way the book has it presented? So be thinking about those things instead of letting your mind wander. Now, as we develop this program, we're going to be doing a lot of the things we've already been doing. You'll see if you look in your book, they make a great big deal out of some of the stuff that you guys have already been doing. So you're just that good. So I'm going to start this flow chart, and we had already started it last time. So I'm going to bring up Raptor, and I'm going to do File, Open on my car price program Raptor file that we created last time. Remember, it's empty. It's an empty flow chart. So if you need to start with a new one, that's not a problem. I'm going to be looking at our textbook on my other window. So if you do need to refer to it, that's what I'll be looking at.
So we just continuing about where we left off.
Yeah, we really didn't get started too much with it. So it should be an empty flow chart.
Oh,
over there.
so I need to make a new one.
Yeah, a new one will be fine. Not a problem. I kind of got sidetracked last time thinking we should go make that overtime pay one first, because this one's a little bit big. They kind of wander around.
With Raptor, can you call the module you're in that module to restart it?
I don't know if you can.
You said page 232, right?
I'm on actually 240 now. I'm kind of moving quickly. And I'm scrolling back and forth trying to find where they actually start the thing. So I'll tell you if I find their beginning. Because they kind of show us a bunch and then start over.
It feels like a story of 2-year-olds.
Let's see. Yep, I'm pretty much starting on 232. So the first thing we're going to do is put in a call. And they're going to create a module to declare our variables. So double click on this. And let's name this module variables. And yes, I want to create a new tab. Now, when I said yes, it created our new variables tab, and it took me to that module. In some of our last flowcharts, we named our modules starting with lowercase letters. And in this one, they're going to have us name our modules with uppercase letters. Here in our class, in our intro class, we're not too awfully worried about those kinds of things. But as you get into your different programming languages, they are going to be. So we'll be more concerned then. So for our variables, let's create all of our variables. We've got a bunch. So I'm going to start out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them.
Just click out between it and the end, and I'll do more of the same.
Ah, nice. There's 5 of them. Now these are going to be our number variables. So the very first one, let's make it base price. And we're going to start with it at 0. Next, let's do engine cost. And we want to set it to 0. And then trim cost. Let's set it to 0. What's it doing to you?
Oh, I didn't even finish the first variable. I could not type that fast.
Well, then make your
So
variable
bad.
names shorter. Could you make them shorter?
I still can't keep up. It's okay.
Uh-huh.
It's me, it's
Well,
not
just
you.
watch and we'll give you one. See what you can do. That's all right.
I just wish I could type faster.
Radio cost. We want it to be 0. Yeah. And selling price. Yeah, there's lots of typing tutors available online too when you have all your spare time. 5 hours. Yeah, DDR for your fingers. Okay, so those are our 5 numeric variables that we need. Now we're going to need 3 variables that are going to hold choices. So I'm going to come down here and click and create 3 more blank ones.
Oh, right there. Okay, I thought.
And now these are going to be our choices. So let's make our first one engine choice. And that one is going to be a space. So I've got a double quote and a space and a double quote.
You said a space and a double quote.
Uh-huh. Next, we're going to have trim choice. Again, it's going to be a double quote, space, double quote. And our last one is going to be radio choice. So for each of these, we're going to be asking the user, you know, what kind of engine they want, and we're going to keep track of what they say, their answer, in this choice variable. Now we need 2 more variables to hold the data that they said was an unchanging, our shipping charge and our dealer charge. So yeah, our constants. So that first one is shipping charge, and I want it to be 500. And then next, our dealer charge, and I would like it to be 175. Now there's 2 more variables that we need to create, and these are ones that we're going to be asking the user for their name and what kind of car they want to buy. So we put these off till the end. So I'm going to create 2 more, and the first one will be name, and I'll set it to a space. And the second one will be car make, and we'll set it equal to a space. Okay, got it? Look good? We should start out with our base price. Let's see, I think I can zoom. Oh, too far. How's that? You can see most of it. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 numerics that are all set to 0. 3 choices that are set to space. 2 charges that have initial values. And then our last 2 are name and car make string. Got them all? It's a bunch of them. Good. Okay, let's go back to our main. And in our main, they would like to have a nice message that is a welcome. So let's use our output symbol. And in our output symbol, we want to say a new car price calculator. And then we'll do another output. In this one, we're going to say this program will help you calculate the cost of a new car. Now, I know we don't really have any action going on in this program yet to speak of, but let's test it because we did create a lot of variable names and we just want to make sure we don't have any spaces accidentally in any of those names or anything illegal. So we'll just make sure we can run this. So it's going to go to my variables. I should see all my variables get created over here in my watch area. All getting set up properly. And then I should see on my master console those beginning messages. They're good? Everybody okay? Are John's, you guys back, okay back there? Give them a hard time. Okay, so I'm ready to keep going then. So the first thing we want to do in this program is ask the user what their name is, and then we're going to use their name to refer to them in a nice personalized manner. So we are going to output that message to them, but the reason for this is to ask for input. So we're going to use the input symbol. So on the input symbol, our prompt to our user is going to say, what is your name? And then we're going to read that or save the data they type in our name variable. One more input. Let's ask them what kind of car they would like to buy. So what type of car do you want to buy? And let's put that in our car make. Never works for me. Good, good, good. So the first thing we want to do after we've got their name and what kind of car they want to buy, oh, we need one more question. Let's ask them what the base price of this car is. So I'm going to put that at the very end of our main. And we'll say, what is the base price of this car? And what variable do you think we want to use for that? Exactly. So that will work. So we've gathered some beginning information. Now we're going to go into a module to ask them about their engine preferences. So let's grab our call symbol, and we want to put that call symbol at the end of our main. They have a really long name for this module. They want it to be named compute underscore engine underscore cost. That's it. Compute underscore engine underscore cost. If you notice, the module names we've been using have been a little shorter, but that'll work. So let's say done, and yes, we want a new tab for it. And now it's going to put us in our module to do the engine cost. Now our choices were, they could have like 6-cylinder or 8-cylinder or diesel. So we're going to create like a little menu here for them, asking which one they'd like. So let's use our input statement. In our prompt, it's going to say enter, and then we're going to use a single quote with an uppercase letter S. So we're going to say enter S for 6-cylinder, comma, single quote E, single quote for 8-cylinder, or D for a diesel engine. And then we want to read that, their response, into engine choice. So let's do our first engine choice, and then we'll run a test. I'm going to grab the selection symbol, and I'm going to put it right here under where we asked them which kind of engine they wanted. And in our decision diamond, the condition we're going to say is we want to know if the engine choice equals S. Now, a few things.
Is that double quote?
It is double quotes. In our string, where we're prompting them, is double quotes. We use the single quotes so that they would actually show up to the user in the message. Okay? And so now when we're doing our if statement, we're back to programming, we're back to the double quotes. So the single quotes were just so that would show up that way in that message. So they weren't anything to do with our programming, just how we wanted that prompt to look. Does that make sense? Because it's kind of confusing with the single quotes and double quotes all over the place.
So if you use the single quotes in that place where it says engine choice, and then put single quotes or wiggle quotes.
It would probably work because Raptor is pretty flexible about that, but in some programming languages it wouldn't. And in Python it would work too, because Python doesn't care either way. It's just that if we want the quotes to show up in that string, they have to be the other ones, you know, different ones, so that it doesn't think that's the end of our string. So if our engine choice is a S, that we're done on that. That's our condition. Oh, thank you. Engine choice. There we go. Okay, that better. Now, if they want the 6-cylinder, the cost of their engine is going to be $150. So we want an assignment symbol to go into this yes path. And if they picked that, we want the engine cost. Make sure you're looking at your cost variable, because we have all these variables that are closely named. We want our cost to be $150.
I want that engine. I want a price. I mean, I want.
You want that one? Yeah. Okay, so I want to run this. Are you ready? Let's try it. We'll let it declare all of our variables for us. It's slow, but I want it to run slow for right now. Now here's our messages and then our prompt. What is your name? My name's Renee. What type of car do you want to buy? What do I want? I think I want a Honda. And I'll say it's going to be a really cheap Honda for $18,000. Maybe I want a Fit. Okay, now I'm here at our prompt. So here's our message. Here's what we typed in as our prompt, and here's how it's showing up. So see our single quote around the S and the E and everything. So I would like a 6-cylinder because that's the only if statement we have in so far. So I'm going to put an S.
Is it capital sensitive?
Is it? I'm going to put a little s. Is it going to work? Nope. It's set up. It's not S. So how could we make this work for an uppercase and a lowercase s?
Statement.
I do and or because it couldn't be upper and lower, right? So, but it could be upper or lower. So let's do or. Good thinking. So here in our condition, we're going to say we want the engine choice to be equal to uppercase S, or we'll take our engine choice equal a lowercase s. And I think it'll take the or that way. Let's try it and see for sure. I'm going to speed mine up a little bit. Run it, get those variables created. Okay, so now I should be able to do a lowercase s or an uppercase s. And remember when I was showing you that test case diagram last time, I said as a good programmer, you would want to test every one of these conditions. Lots of testing. But I'm going to type the lowercase letter s to make sure we fix that. And sure enough, it ran through the code that set the price properly. So I think we should do that in all of our if statements, all of our selections, and allow our user to do upper or lowercase. So now if they don't choose an S, let's check to see if they choose an E. Grab your selection symbol and drag it to your no path. Now for this one, we want to know if the engine choice equals E or the engine choice equals a lowercase e.
Does the or have to be capitalized? Is that?
No, it doesn't have to. I just kind of like to capitalize it to make it stand out.
No, completely understand. Just
Uh-huh.
making sure for like.
I don't think it
purposes,
has to be.
Oh, we're gonna put another selection for no on that one.
Right.
Gotcha.
So if they say yes, they want the E, let's make their engine cost be $475. Well, we jumped up pretty high. So grab an assignment symbol, put it in the yes path of that second if statement. Now this is called nested if statements, and we're doing it in our code because we have one if statement kind of within another. We'll actually use the elif structure to do this in our Python program. So if they pick E, we want the engine cost to be $475.
Wow.
Goes up fast. In our no then, we need another selection. This time, we're going to check to make sure they typed in a D for diesel. So now if they pick diesel, it's going to be $750. So engine cost to $750. So with our really stringy if structure here, we've covered all three options now. We've said if they chose S, make it 150. If they chose E, make it 475. If they choose D, it should be 750. But what if they didn't type any of those three things?
Make it one car.
Yeah, we would loop, but we haven't got to looping yet, so we don't know how. So we're going to handle it in kind of a less effective way. Let's do an output message. And in our output message, let's say, you have made an invalid selection. Here in a week or so, we'll know how to loop and ask him again.
Right after that, and replace it.
But we haven't done
That's
loops yet.
It's just calling them up.
Logan's always one.
He's always thinking, make him stop.
Poor programming.
No, it's not poor programming at all. Okay, so here's what our structure should look like. I've zoomed out just a little bit. I know it's harder to read, but I want you to be able to make sure that yours looks the same. Remember with our decision structure here in Raptor, we could roll that up so that it wasn't quite so hard to look at. So like I could roll up everything to that first if statement, make it all real easy to look at. So our compute engine cost module should be complete. So let's test.
Real fast.
I'm going to run. As my variables are getting populated over here, in this watch area, I'm going to make sure that they're getting updated properly when I type in information. So my name got updated. I'll do my Honda. And there's my car make got updated. My base price, 18 grand. There's my base price looking good. Okay, now we're in our engine cost module. We did the 6-cylinder. So I'm going to try an uppercase E. I would want to try all of these things. Set my engine cost to $475. I see in my watch area. So that looks right. So I think we're in good shape. So after we compute our engine cost, we need to check our interior trim. So let's grab another call. Should be on your main. Make sure you're on your main module. And at the very end of your main module, let's put a new call to compute interior trim cost.
I wish you could make the text in the little box bigger.
Me too. Because even though the resolution on this side of the screen is set really low to make things bigger, it still doesn't make them bigger. Let's go ahead and create that tab. And now this one is going to be just like the last one. We want to request input first. And in our input, we're going to have a prompt. Let's make it a little fancier this time. Let's say enter V for vinyl. I'd like to make it a little fancier. I want stuff to go to the next line. And there's actually a special code I can use to force things to go to the next line. And that's \n. So the backslash, you find that character, it's the slash above your enter key. So not a normal forward slash, the backslash. So \n says go to a new line right here in this string. After that, I would like to do a tab character to try to get this lined up. So I'm going to do \T. And again, this is a control code that tells the computer, press the tab key. Now, after that, I'm going to do C for cloth interior trim. And then a space, \N, \T, and then L for leather interior trim. Phew. And we want to read that into trim choice. Now, because we use some control characters, I'd like to run and see how that looks. I would like it if Raptor would let me just run this right here, kind of like a PowerPoint or something, but it won't, will it? I'm going to have to run the whole thing. So I'll run it.
You're driving super fast.
Yep, I have it set on high speed and put in my name. My Honda for 18 grand. I want it to be a diesel, so it'll smell real bad. Okay, so now let's look at how this one looks. Well, that doesn't look very good. I just lied to you completely.
I was wondering about
It's
that.
not working. Well, we'll try it in Python. I don't think it's a Raptor thing. It's a Python thing. So I lied to you about Raptor, so we'll come back and fix that, but we'll try it in Python. And you'll be like, what, are you trying to confuse us? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, so let's fix that. Go back to your compute interior trim cost. I swear that works in Raptor, but I'll get rid of it because it's not working right. So I'm just going to leave a space. And I'll get rid of this other pair. Clean it up a little bit. Messing with you. Okay, so after we prompt our user, we need to do a selection to see if they picked V. So we're going to check trim choice. Is it equal to an uppercase V, or could I just do the lowercase v? Do I have to say that word trim choice again? Can I just do it this way?
No.
No, you have to say it. Yeah.
You guys are so right. Why is that? Rose is
Because it doesn't
Because it's
recognize
just
what
choice.
just the normal
One.
right. It's just the hanging out there. We have to have the left operand, the operator, and the right operand for it to be a valid if statement. So it wouldn't know what V was. Absolutely right. So I'm going to tell it that it's trim choice that I want to check for a lowercase v. And if they picked vinyl, we're going to use an assignment statement. Our trim cost will only be $50. So if they didn't pick V, we need to check to see if they picked C. So let's do another selection. And this time we'll say, was trim choice equal uppercase C, or was trim choice equal to lowercase c? And if they picked C, we're going to set our cost to $225. And make sure you put that in this yes path of our decision structure that's checking for the C. Our trim cost will be $225. Now, if they didn't pick V and they didn't pick C, we need to check to see if they picked L. Notice over here on this no path, we could just assume they picked L, just set it to leather. But we're not doing that. We're actually checking so that we can give them an error message if they didn't pick a valid choice. So let's check for that L. If the trim choice is uppercase L, or the trim choice is lowercase l. For that mammally interior, they want $800. Trim cost $800.
Wait, I just thought of something. Do you have that, family, does that mean your car that had,
Yes, it does mean that.
Oh my God.
The last time I bought a car, the salesman kept saying, "This one has leather interior," and I'd look at him and he'd go, oh yeah, you don't want leather interior."
I mean, unless it's alligator leather, that's still neat.
Yeah, I don't really like leather in a car very much anyways. It's too slippery. Yeah, real hot. Yeah, just not good. But it is nice and soft and cozy and itchy. So let's do our error message. If we did not find a V, a C, or an L, we're over here at this no path. We've got another problem, so we're going to do that output. Yep. Say you have made an invalid selection. You're so good.
I've been looking for, I get it.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, does that look okay? You can see it? I'm going to scale this out a little bit so you can see it all. So this one should look just like that first one. We had 3 choices. So we have 3 decision structures. Each of them has a yes path where we set the cost right. and the no path, where we either check another one or tell them they messed it up. All right?
We're making a lot of tabs for this one, ain't we?
It's a big one.
I'm telling you. I will stop looking. It says radio costs.
You guys are so good. Seriously, the first time we did it, it took us like 2 classes, and you guys are just blazing through. So let's finish our last part. Let's go back to our main. In the last module we're going to have for our choices is to compute the radio cost. So let's put a call, and we want to name this compute radio cost.
Can't have any spaces.
No spaces in our module name.
Mm-mm.
Now this one's a little smaller because we're only going to give them 2 choices. So let's start with our input statement so they can tell us what their choice is. Our prompt is going to say, enter R for AM, FM, CD, DVD, radio, it's quite a radio, or G to add GPS. And we want to read this in as radio choice. So we've assumed since getting this book that this book was being published right at the time when radios were kind of going away in cars, and they don't really know what to do here.
Wait, why are they taking away radios?
Well, you know, you get your XM and all that
What
other
they do
stuff.
streaming now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're replacing radio.
Yeah, and you don't really have like a CD player. I was surprised it didn't say cassette.
I was just that.
Be like Guardian of the Galaxies and listen to some cassettes.
You made a mistake going your line to use a double instead of a single pull out. I know that. For G.
Oh, you see it? I see it. That. Good. Okay. He's testing me.
And then we need a choice box, right?
Yep. Our selection. And for this one, we want to know if the radio choice is G or the radio choice equals the lowercase g.
You're doing it different because in the book it has.
Oh, it should be R. Thank you. Keep me on track. R or R. So what I was thinking about instead of the G's and the R's was Guardians of the Galaxies. Did you guys know that the last CD or cassette tape manufacturing company in the world is in Springfield, Missouri?
What?
Yep, and they were getting ready to shut down. And then the first Guardians of the Galaxies movie came out. And cassette tapes gained such huge popularity that they're still open and they're still manufacturing cassette tapes in Springfield, Missouri.
That's
I don't know
crazy.
where it is. I think it's over someplace by the old Zenith plant.
That's unrelated, but the finals going to be the first year in forever that it's going to overtake CDs.
Yeah, they're selling more vinyl than CDs this year. So weird.
It's like finals coming
Yeah.
back.
My husband kept saying that, keeping all those stinky old albums.
Our vinyls literally go out like 8 tracks did and just disappear.
It'll be interesting to see. We'll have to see what happens.
My mom said that my grandpa.
Mine doesn't like the lowercase r. I don't know what I did wrong.
See if you got
What
double
is it
quotes
that
around.
creepy? My
What?
mom said that my great grandpa thought that they were gonna install vinyl players in cars, but now we have CD players. And when
I mean,
he found out
vinyl
about him,
players
he was like, "What?"
existed for a short while.
Did they?
Yeah. For a very short while.
Really?
Yeah.
For cars?
Terrible idea.
Yeah. You couldn't even walk across the living room. Okay, so here we are. We have our radio choice of R. If they choose R, it's $100. So now we need another selection. And this one is going to be for G. So if the radio choice equals G or lowercase g,
You know what we could have done?
What?
We could have saved what we had already typed earlier when we accidentally typed G instead of
Oh,
R
yeah,
and then copied and pasted.
that's
Can you
true.
copy and paste the modules?
You could. How could you do that? How could I copy and paste in Raptor?
Control C.
Control C, Control V,
Oh, okay, so then we'll just be
Control
simple.
A.
Huh.
Control A to
And then you
select
just
all.
couldn't go through and do that and then just go through and change the letters.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's cool.
So you should be able to do that. Okay, so if they pick the GPS thing, we're gonna make the radio cost be 400. If they don't get one of those choices right, we're gonna output that message that they've made an invalid selection.
You want to hear something funny?
What's that?
My uncle once installed a toaster into his truck, and he could make toast on his way to work. And it
That's a
actually
toast
worked
lover.
too.
Toast lover.
Yeah.
Let's create one more subchart. I know we should be testing, but this is kind of a long one. So we're going to save our testing for the end, which I don't really
We
recommend.
should save.
Yeah, saving is a good idea. So let's go back to our main and add in our completely last call. And this last call is going to be display selling price.
Have you ever had like where the whole like someone tripped over a cord and the whole like lab got disconnected computers?
Oh, not here, but when I used to teach computer maintenance all the time.
Oh my gosh.
See, that's what we were doing. Okay, so in our final module, what we're going to do here is first a selection statement. If you remember, throughout all of our choice modules, our cost started out as 0, and if we got a valid selection, we changed it. So we can check that cost on all of our items to see if they're still 0. If they're still 0, that means the user didn't choose something properly. We have an error condition. So if the engine cost is 0, or the trim cost is 0, or the radio cost is 0, we had some sort of problem. I did 1 equals and 2 zeros. Let's fix that to 2 equals and 1 0. So if any of them are still zeros, we had something that they didn't select properly.
If any of them.
Any of them.
Oh, yeah.
Any
you
of
got
them.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So let's put that in as our selection. And we're going to output a message if that is true. So let's output our message. This is going to be a big one. We're going to say, sorry, comma, space, and string, plus our name, plus we're going to begin a new string with a double quote and a comma. Because you know etiquette grammar says that a name should have a comma before it and a comma after it. And then we're going to say no cost for your space, close double quote. Then a plus sign to add our car make. Another plus sign to finish up our sentence. Can be calculated at this time. So this is just why one reason that Raptor is such great practice, because it can be so hard to type these things. So our first string is the word sorry with the comma. Then we're adding the variable name. Remember, our variables can't be in double quotes. After our variable, we're adding another string, the comma, no cost for your. We're closing that string, adding another variable. Then after the car make variable, we're going to add our last string. Messy.
So the comma goes, no, why do they, I mean, I know why the commas have to, but why do they put it out after the plus and after the?
Because it's part of the string. They want it to show up in the output.
Oh.
So it'll be,
Oh.
say, comma, name, comma. So in Missouri, we don't use commas like that like we're supposed to. Okay, so that message is going to come out if any of our choices were not properly made. Let's put in our good messages.
Congratulations.
It will be, okay, let's do an assignment on our no side. First, we want to calculate our selling price. This is the total. So what's our total going to be?
It's gonna be
Everything, right? Base price plus engine cost plus trim cost plus radio cost plus shipping charge plus dealer charge. So all of the different charges are going to get added together.
Finances is funny.
What's that?
When I was a kid, I thought if I exchanged coins at a store for dollar bills and such, that I'm technically getting free money.
Yeah. That's why we always rip off little kids with change. It's just a common thing. All little kids have to learn about money that way, right?
My siblings used
We lie to them about Christmas and we steal their change.
to my siblings would give me like shiny buttons and shiny pennies in place for my dole quarters and such.
Let's do an output here with our final message. It's going to go after we calculate that price. This one is going to be a doozy also. We're going to say name, whoever you are. Then we're going to add, comma, space, the car of your dreams, comma, your, space, close quote. And then we're going to add in our car make variable. And then add in another string. Space will cost you. And then we want to do a dollar sign plus our selling price. And then at the very end, we're going to have a period to end that first sentence. And then we're going to say happy motoring. You can make it so, okay, congratulations, you made this work or whatever. Now we see how Python just highlighting things in different colors a little bit helps a lot, because with Python, we'd be able to see that car make and selling price variable being a different color and our string being a different color. So it'd be a little easier to tell that we had it right. But being that this is all we've got with Raptor, we're ready. We're going to test this thing now. I'm going to slow my speed down for my first test, and I'm going to run. This first time, I'm going to let it go through and create all the variables. And finally, it's asking me my name. I'm going to buy a Honda for $18,000. And yeah, I think that I want to choose E because I know I've tested the other two options. I don't think Honda makes an 8-cylinder, but that's okay. I'll try it anyways. Should be able to watch it. Now my interior trim, I'm going to choose C for cloth. Looks good. In my radio cost, I think that I'm going to pick something wrong. I'm going to do like a L. Now, because I did an L, an invalid radio cost, I've got my output message. Oh, and I see my output there. You have made an invalid selection. And then finally, sorry, Renee, no cost for your Honda can be calculated at this time. Now, your output message, double check everything. You should see the commas correctly placed in your name and your car name. You shouldn't have stuff squished up together like with a missing space or anything. Does it all look good?
Yep.
Where was that message for the sorry, Renee?
It's right above that one I'm looking at. You have made an invalid selection. And I'm looking at the master console. It's that separate window. Do you see it? Because it might be hiding.
No, I'm wondering where the thing itself is in the rapid flowchart because I made a typo.
Oh, we would have 3 of them. So it would be at the final no path of all 3 of your cost modules where they didn't pick a valid selection. Do you see it?
We gonna run it again?
Uh-huh. Yeah, we want to run it again this time. Let's do it correctly. Make sure we get a good, valid answer. Let's see, I still want a Honda. 18,000. I'll do a 6-cylinder. I'll try vinyl. And this time I'm going to say I want a GPS so that I make a valid selection.
I know, until I saw it, just because it was like, that looks stupid. No, he already did the Python part.
He's got it already. Good. He can tell everybody what to do then. We'll just put him on the projector.
Come with 2 little unfortunate souls here. He has to help. I think I think it's enough karma for him.
Do what?
I got 3,075. You got 19. Missing a 0.
Do you see it?
Yeah, I'm missing a 0 on the card.
Not too bad. Okay, is everybody's working?
Yep.
Need help? Got some help? Got it? Got it? Everybody got it?
Logan, do you need any help?
Well, my program is not working. It is wrong that I got my program.
Oh.
Not coming up with the proper.
But you always been really good about this.
That's why you got to test Let's make it in Python. You make it in Python?
Are you?
Yeah. Do you want help, or do you guys want to do it on your own? Huh? You want help? Well, how about we'll start it together and then we'll finish it on our own. So I'm going to keep my Raptor flowchart up because I'm going to kind of use it as a guide. So let's see what we can do here. I still have idle open. Go ahead and open idle.
What do you search for?
Visualize Python. Okay, so I want to create a new Python file.
Oh, Python.
And I'm going to save it. I'm going to figure out where in the world all my stuff is. And this is going to be car price calculator python .py. I'll use the 3 quotes to start our block comment. And we'll say this script. Ah, silly thing. No, because
Okay,
it'll just be us.
I was just gonna follow it. It was-
Idle gets upset because of me putting those colons in our comments. I need to not do that. We'll just leave those out. Oh, it still does it.
No, that's my phone. I don't see this. No, I don't.
It's like IntelliSense, it's trying to help us, but it's really annoying. No. And I don't know. I thought it was typing the colons, but it's doing it even without typing the colons.
Are those arrows at the very top left corner?
It is 3 single quotes.
Gotcha. 1, 2, 3.
And then we'll close that block comment with 3 single quotes again. Yes, Idle does not like us tabbing, that's for sure. I'm not exactly sure why, because we'll just dump Idle and use something else.
Have the OTC computers ever gotten a virus on them?
I would imagine.
I bet you it has. Considering it's a bunch of college people.
Okay,
We've got some of the best networking tech people.
now we're going to declare our variables. And in our Raptor flowchart, we created a separate module to do that. But in Python, we're going to use these as global variables. So we have to declare them outside of all of our modules. So kind of at the top. So again, I'm going to make everything start with a lowercase letter, like Python likes. And I'm just going to put all of the same variables that we had in our flowchart.
Am I the only one that wants to keep putting a double equal sign to the equal?
Yeah, it gets to where you won't realize you've got the wrong one. And selling price is going to be equal to 0. Then we're going to have our strings, engine choice equal to a space. Trim choice equal to a space. Radio choice equal a space. Our shipping charge is going to be 500. Dealer charge equals 175. And I'm not going to use this name as a variable name because I just think Python might use that as a keyword. So I'm going to make it username and car make. Gotta find something here. Okay. Whenever we start in our program here, the first thing that we did in our main was have some nice messages and things like that. But we know that our main is going to call our other modules also. So to declare our main, remember I need that DEF keyword, and I'm going to say our main module. So in our main module, we wanted to display that welcome message. So we're going to print a new car price calculator. And then we'll print again, this program will help you calculate the cost of a new car.
I feel like typing just became a race for this class.
You right?
I feel like typing just became a race for this class.
You guys are all fast. All right, now we want to prompt for the username. So we're going to say username equals the input from our prompt. What is your name? Our next prompt is going to get the car make. So we'll say, what type of car do you want to buy? And then the last thing that we're going to input is the base price. And so we are going to say, what is the base price of this car? So then the next thing in our main is we're going to be calling our engine cost module. So let's just call it engine cost. So let's create our engine cost module, and then we can test it. I'm going to press enter a whole bunch so that I can scroll down a little bit. Oh, maybe more. A little bit. Now, our engine cost module has to come before our main. Remember, any module or function that we call from our main function must have already been read by the Python interpreter. So we're going to end up with our main at the end. Now, before I leave our main, I need to remember that we were using global variables here. So I have to use that global keyword and say, hey, Python, I'm updating the username, the car make, and the base price in this function. And they are global. And then I should be ready to create my engine cost function. Now in our engine cost, I know I can make this global statement because we're only going to be updating our engine choice and our engine cost. And we'll be doing that same kind of thing in each of our modules. So now let's prompt our user for that engine choice. So we want to say enter S for 6-cylinder, E for 8-cylinder, or D for a diesel engine. So in Python, we want to use our if statement and say if engine choice equals S or engine choice equals lowercase s. Now, if that's what they picked, really easy. All we need to do is update our cost, and we said that engine was $150. So what if they didn't pick S? We're going to use the elif construct. And we're going to say elif, meaning else if the engine choice equals E, or the engine choice equals lowercase e, our cost should be $475. And then one more, elif or else if our engine choice equals D or lowercase d, we're going to have to just print out an error message. Print, you have made an invalid selection.
Are we supposed to use the double equal sign here?
In your if statements?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Because if you only used one, it would just change the engine choice to D or whatever. Because it would be like, oh, you want to set that equal to this? Okay. Okay, so we should be able to run this. Let's test what we've got so far.
It says invalid syntax. Ah.
Mine didn't do anything. I've got to go down to the very bottom and run my main. So I've got them defined, and inside the main, I'm running my engine cost, but I am not ever running my main. So I'll fix that, run it. Okay, now here I have my help message. Bless you. My name is Renee. It's squished up against that prompt. I need a space. I would like to buy a Honda. Like it to be 18,000. And then here's our engine choice. And our S for 6-cylinder, E for 8-cylinder, or D for a diesel engine.
Okay, it's not doing the thing. Sorry.
What thing?
You know how you get blue?
Uh-huh.
It's doing that for me.
You mean running it?
Yeah.
Well, let's make you take over. Share with us and let's see if we can tell what's going on.
Right now, did you want us to pick a selection or to hold that?
Oh, you could go ahead and try it.
Yeah, I have.
You don't have, you're not. You're not calling your main at the bottom.
Huh?
You didn't call your main at the bottom.
That's true. And all that stuff has to be indented in those functions. Is it indented? I can't see your beginning. Oh, yeah, it is indented. So, yep, this is what Shirley said. Call your main at the bottom. And that one should not be indented. So outdented all by itself down at the bottom. Perfect.
There you go.
Yay. Good. Okay, so I've got this stuff here. What do I do to create our trim cost module?
The engine will,
Why do you have it so D says you have made an invalid selection instead of giving a
Oops,
parentheses?
look at me having a wrong thing. Good job. That is not what that should have, is it? He's fixing it. Let me share that again so people can see what I'm doing here. So Jacob noticed that here with our D option, I was just giving an error message, which is not correct. We should be setting the engine cost to $750 if they choose D. And we should have one final else. And in that final else is where we would want to print out this you have made an invalid selection. Good find.
oh,
Very good, very good.
why does that very last else, well, I mean, yeah, why does that last else you've got up there have the colons and none of the other?
They all do. They're just at the very end. So they're hiding.
Makes sense. Got
They're
it.
hiding from you. Good question. Now, do you want to put some comments on these lines? They turn green, so they kind of blend in. It's a little bit messy. It's a hard decision. But let's see, we could say check for S, and then we could come down to the elif and say something like elif must have a condition. And then here, another elif, still a condition. And then finally our else, this is like our last resort. No condition on it. It's just that all the other conditions failed. Now I'm going to go ahead and put a comment here at our engine cost and say these globals will be updated in this function. That's why those are stated there. And then finally, for our function here, it would be nice if we had some comments about our function. So I'll put one and say, this function is engine cost. It determines the engine choice and cost. So we have about 9 minutes. Let's put in our trim cost module. So in our main, I'm going to put in a call to the new trim cost module. right below our engine cost module. So for our trim cost, we're going to want things a lot like our engine cost. I'll start with a comment and say this function is going to be our trim cost. It determines a trim choice and cost. And then I'll define the function. Now the globals that we'll use in this function, I'm going to press enter to get our main out of the way a little bit. The globals that we'll use are going to be our trim choice and our trim cost. And here in a couple chapters, we'll, after we learn about looping and repetition structures, we'll get away from these global variables.
You have space in between the dot variable.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so let's do trim cost equals input. And this time we want to enter V for vinyl. Vinyl interior trim. And then I told you we were going to do that \n \t to go to a new line and press the tab key. We want a C for cloth interior trim. And then again, I have to do \n and \t. And lastly, L for leather interior trim. And I'm finally going to close that thing. And if it fails again, you guys can yell at me.
No, yelling.
That's all right. I can take it. It is a long one, isn't it? I bet some of you can think of a better way to do that. Okay, we've got our trim cost then. Whoops. Put me a little sideways there. So we're ready to start all of our if statements. Oh, look, I did trim cost. We want trim choice, not cost.
You got trim cost and bucket each one. Oh, never mind.
You want that one.
That one.
Okay, so now if trim choice equals V or trim choice equals lowercase v, we're going to set our trim cost equal to 50. Elif, our trim choice equals C or lowercase c, We'll set our trim cost to $225. That vinyl is cheap, huh? If our trim choice is L or a lowercase l, we're going to set it to $800. And our final else, we're going to print out that message. You have made an invalid selection. Now we should have just enough time to try it to see if our input prompt comes out on multiple lines and to see if we've got any other problems.
You're forgetting a colon after the trim choice L.
Oh, thank you. Any others? Trying to, sure. Okay, let's run this thing. All right. I didn't fix my prompts. I still am squishied. Say Renee, Honda, 18,000. I want a 6-cylinder. Oh, not too bad. So I would say looking at this, if we put a tab before that V, we would be all lined up with our nice little menu there, doing our \n and \t. So notice how that moved things to a new line and did the tab for us within our string. And so I'll pick cloth and it should end.
Oh, thank goodness.
She was like, mine didn't do anything.
Yeah. Mine just ended too.
So looking good. We're going to finish it next time. Be thinking about what we would need to add. If there were other, to finish it up, we're going to need to add our module to check for the radio stuff, and then our final module to output everything.
There's a difference between quotations and single quotations, Python, like string and character.
Not too much, as much, but they kind of do the same way, just use single for a char data type, but it'll handle it no matter what. Okay, is everybody's okay up to this point? You're good, you're good, you're good. All right. Get out of here. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy. Stay away from germs. Read that Python book.
Right. Yeah, then we do lots of rest ready from back.
Lots of rest and relaxation.
Mine's a little bit different than theirs.
I know. We're gonna have to send, and I'll post it.
What do you mean as far as the
Yeah, the choices are declared inside for me.
Does caffeine restrict your? I feel like it's a. Yep, that's what I thought. I was about to get me some, but I feel like I heard in the back of my mind my mom saying no milk or caffeine while
It's
you're sick.
and it's a histamine.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what I thought.
Is this program next week is around finishing? Is that gonna be like an assignment for finishing, or is it just like?
No, we'll just finish it up together in class, and then we'll do some other stuff. Yeah, send it to her. And I was gonna post it too. I'll post it out there to your spot since mine's a little different.
Yeah,
Yours all
mine's
fancy.
literally not.
I want you to post yours after we get done so they can see the
What?
difference.
I was confused because I was doing my own thing. I looked it up and what you were doing, and you were doing that if statement in the calculation at the very end, which whether or not you can't calculate. I'm like, what is that ever going to be true? And then I remember that I did mine differently, where I called the module again.
So you're looping.
So I was like, why is that never going to return true?
You got it. That looks good.
Yeah.
There's that one. I think that's right. The right semester and the right year and all that good stuff.
Have a good day.
You too. Have a good weekend.
Which classes are you taking next term? Do you know?
No, yeah. My next My next computer science class on Thursday.
There's Riley, why
I'm
don't you
taking
think funny?
131.
What's that?
When I was in
And I
10th
think
grade,
I'm
I was
taking
in
C
biology
sharp
classes, right?
Oh, wait, I might
And
be
we
doing some
were
sharp.
gonna
actually.
watch
I'm doing
I might not
an
be doing
episode of documentary.
I don't think what
Planet
developments are
Earth,
required.
right? It was the one with the ocean.
Because I don't want
And it
anything.
was showing the
I'm so-
specific
I'm so
tracks
bad
of
at most of
that
this, like,
I have no
It's-
interest
and
in
the
those.
DVD had been edited to where
Fun,
instead of
but, like,
Attenborough's
this
voice
isn't-
being
Yeah,
played,
it's not what I
like,
No.
you know the gong noise where it has like the phone.
So I'm taking C sharp. I'm taking my
actually
accounting
kinda funny
class,
because
my
you
public
didn't
speaking
notice it
class.
until like it was all of a sudden, it was like, wait a minute.
It's crazy.
Unfortunately, I think the
So,
one
yeah, I don't
here-
know
What can I do if I want to improve my typing?
It's gonna be another.
You can.
Yeah, because I
Let's
was
find you some
sometimes
stuff.
I'm lost here.
No, remember,
Yeah,
I've taught teenage boys for 15 years, so I had to get really fast so they wouldn't get bored.
yeah, I know.
So I am fast. But I do make a lot of mistakes for you.
Yeah, but I never learned to type. You know?
Oh, you didn't. So
No.
you're doing it on your own. Okay, so if you search for typing practice or typing tutor,
Yeah.
I don't think we
We'll
pick
figure that
classes.
a lot of
Yeah.
these, like this one is free typing practice.
Bye. Have a good one.
And it's going to be little kid stuff, but that's okay. Just don't
Yeah.
even worry about that. Just say,
Yeah.
yeah, I can do little kid stuff. And then the one that I was kidding around about is the DDR for your fingers. Because I used to have a student that was like a maniac at this. So if you like DDR, like Dance Dance Revolution, this is for your fingers only. It shows you patterns.
Oh, really?
And you have to try to go really, really fast, and you're against everybody else. So it kind of depends on whether you would rather type real words, go to those typing practice sites.
Yeah.
If you want really fast, find the right key
Yeah.
practice, then the DDR stuff is good for that. But I would try the typing tutors, especially one of the little kid ones that shows you your proper finger placement on the keyboard to start and all of that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you're self-taught,
Yeah.
you are just probably, and so everybody says, if you're self-taught, when you first start doing things the right way,
Yeah.
you'll slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
So
it's
don't worry
okay.
about
Yeah.
that, yeah. Because you'll
I
speed
don't-
back
I
up.
don't use those default.
No, do you
And
go
I
off way?
I do like it's in like proper positions, but I don't use all my fingers. I use palm fingers. but
That's
usually
how I
because I'm
do.
faster with it.
Mhm. That's how I do, because I don't really use
I
my
don't use
small
fingers.
fingers, and
I think it's
I
'cause I'm
do
used to
move around a lot on the keyboard.
gaming, so I'm like never using my fingers.
And see, I'm not a gamer, but I never use my
Yeah.
pinkies either. Like I was telling him, I seriously, when I was teaching teenage boys, if you don't type really fast, they'll start laugh. They'll find anything that they can make fun of you
Yeah.
about, and they'll be like, she can't even type. And so I try to go really fast. So this one, like,
So because here students learn to type in high school or
yeah. So they usually have typing like in junior high, high school,
I didn't do typing classes in high school, but I had it way back in grade school.
grade school.
Like 5th grade, 4th grade is all we did in computer class was just typing.
Oh, so they're trying to push it down even to the 2nd grade class.
It was
So
ridiculous.
yeah.
But I was not fast then. I just got fast off using the computer every day in my life, pretty much.
Mhm.
It
So,
just takes
yeah.
practice.
Get used to where your fingers should be, and then kind of like him and I, adapt.
yeah.
But definitely
how
don't
you
do the
do
one
it.
fingers.
Don't
That's
do
bad.
that.
Yeah, that's why I want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look around, and you'll find one that you like better than the
Okay.
others, because there's so many of them.
Yeah, there's ones where you can like set how fast you want it to go on your screen and figure out. By the way, your Zoom session's still running.
Thank you.
And then the Discord that you wanted to post it to, it's like in